Good evening, everyone. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. I am Mohit Kapil, Assistant Professor in the Department of Management Studies at Satyam Darshan Institute of Engineering and Technology, and even co-convener, along with my colleague, Mr. Paramjit Singh Ahuja, Assistant Professor and co-convener of BFSI Conclave from FTP. Welcome you all. I just want to take your quick attention towards the mission of SDIT to produce technically brilliant industry professionals matching global standards where budding leaders are imparted professionalism, technical and entrepreneurial skills to adapt and excel in competitive global environment committed to the cause of humanity. So by recognizing mission of SDIT, today we are presenting new frontiers, trends and skill development in banking industry through and post-COVID 2019. So today we have two distinguished speakers. So first of all, I would like to welcome Mr. S. Devasilan, Deputy General Manager retired from Bank of Baroda, and Mr. Amit Doshi, Deputy Vice President and Business Head, Mumbai Retail, HDFC AMC Limited. Now, without further ado, I would like to recapitalize yesterday's highlights. So it was the day 2 of this conclave, and we were very fortunate to listen Mr. Vibhash Nayak, EVP, HR, Learning and Development and Administration from HDFC Life. He emphasized on the theme in the context of life insurance sector. He provided us with the real insights of prevailing COVID-19 situations and its effects on the insurance industry. He also made us learn that how a business conglomerate like HDFC is seeing an opportunity in these tough times and preparing itself ready for future. So just a little housekeeping before we get started. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them in the chat box in your Zoom control panel. I'll bring them up at Q&A session. Now, I'm pleased to introduce our Dean Academics Dean Academics at SDIT and chairperson and convener of this event, Dr. Sangeeta Trihanji. She is a top-ranked graduate from Department of Mathematical Sciences, Purdue School of Sciences, IUPUI, USA, and from Department of Economics, Delhi School of Economics, Delhi University, and later Indiana Institute of Foreign Trade, New Delhi. She is a PhD from IIFT, MA, DSc, MBA, and MS in Applied Statistics from IUPUI. Dr. Sangeeta Trihanji has internationally benchmarked education. She has with her over 18 years of experience, primarily in academia in India and abroad. She taught undergraduates at Indiana University, IUPUI campus as faculty for 3 years from 2003 to 2005. Besides IUPUI, she has been an academic visitor and have taught and administered educational and research programs at various management and engineering institutes and universities in abroad as well as in India. So I would like to invite Dean Academics ma'am, and she is the HOD of the Department of Management Studies, to grace this event by her valuable words.
Thank you, Mohit, for that beautiful introduction. And I welcome our distinguished speakers for today and all the participants in this day 3 of BFSI Conclave cum FDP. As you know, we embarked on this huge event 2 days ago on June the 27th, and today is day 3. In day 1, we were blessed to have the University Registrar, Dr. Sunil Garg, our own chairman, sir, and other dignitaries, including the principal and other industry partners, including Mr. Shivpurkar, deliver the keynote address and kick off this conclave. Yesterday, like Mohit summarized, we had a session, a brilliant session by Mr. Vibhash from HDFC Life. Now today is day 3, and we are going to focus again on BFSI. What are the various trends and new frontiers in this industry, and what are the skill development opportunities as well as challenges in this sector. And we would also primarily focus on the banking and related services. We are very honored to have two distinguished speakers with us today. And I would, without wasting any more time, I would like to invite here on the platform our first speaker for today, who has loads of experience. He's a senior banker. His name is Mr. S. Devasilan. He's a retired Deputy General Manager of Bank of Baroda. I'll just take a couple of minutes to introduce him to you. Mr. Devasilan, he has more than 35 years of experience in banking industry. He was part of Bank of Baroda, which, as you know, is one of the premier banks, nationalized banks in the country. Mr. Devasilan happens to be a very versatile banker. He has rich experience in various verticals, various segments of the banking industry, as well as banking administration and training. He's been working on various panels as an expert banking trainer along with NIIT IFBI. So we welcome you, sir, Mr. Devasilan, and over to you for today's session.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sangeeta. Dr. Sangeeta, Mohit, Paramjit, and other faculty members of the institute, and student and other dignitaries who are gracing this conclave. I am really privileged to be part of this conclave, which is explaining about the impact of COVID-19 on BFS sector. And today I'll be discussing about how it has impacted banking in particular, not about insurance, not about mutual fund. I'll be talking about banking in particular. I am thinking of doing this by dividing the whole speech into 5 parts. How the COVID-19 has affected the entire world in general, banking sector in particular, and because of that COVID-19, what are the changes, what are the new frontiers that have emerged in banking sector? And the next part, very important, what are the opportunities available to us? Once the COVID is over, what are the opportunities available to the banking sector? And lastly, what are the skills you should develop to succeed, to enter into banking sector? These are the 5 topics I'll be discussing today. And any query you are having in between, you're most welcome. Type out in the chat box. We'll try to take it at the end. Okay, with this introductory remarks, I'd like to go for the presentation proper. I'm having a small presentation. I'll share it with you, and then I'll go ahead with the presentation. 1 minute. I'll stop my video so that bandwidth problem is not appearing. Okay, now I'll share my screen. I hope it is visible. The screen is visible?
Yes, it is.
Okay, right. So the new frontiers in banking, COVID-19 impact. The whole topic I am going to talk about is digital wave or digital disruption, or how the technology has taken over the entire banking sector. That is what I am going to discuss. Yeah. Now, the general impact. Initially, I'll discuss about the general impact. COVID-19 or Corona, we call it very popularly, is most unexpected event or most unexpected disease and most unprecedented outbreak, which the humanity has never seen for probably centuries together. Why I say unexpected and unprecedented? Because entire world was taken by shock when it started spreading. Today also, it is having a very deep impact on the lives of the entire humanity. And the next point I am mentioned is here is, it is omnipresent and indiscriminatory. This is very, very important thing, the point I want to. Normally, when a virus attacks or when any thing happens in the economy, it affects one part of the world. But here, this COVID-19 has affected the entire globe without any discrimination. Whether it is an economic superpower like US, UK, or Germany, or whether it is developed countries or whether it is developing countries or underdeveloped countries. No discrimination. Rich people, poor people, no discrimination. Seniors, youngsters, child, no discrimination. Male, female, no discrimination. So the most indiscriminate disease which the entire world is dreaded, I mean, very, what do you call it is fearful about, is this corona, this thing. And unfortunately, we are fighting, the entire world is fighting about this disease, but without success. And that's what I have written here. No end in sight. Nobody, no country has developed any medicine to cure it. So ultimately, what the leaders, what everybody, medical fraternity, everybody is telling, it is going to stay and people should learn to live with it. This is the very critical part of the entire outbreak. Okay. And how it has affected, already I told you, global health crisis, only pandemic which has affected the entire globe. Day by day, it has crossed already 1 crore mark, the people affected, and the number of deaths also increasing day by day, it has not come down. And because of this, entire globe, all the nations are facing very deep economic crisis. Every country is projecting a negative economic growth, and they are afraid what will happen to the economy as a whole. Everybody is worried about that. And then there is no other alternative. The entire globe is today under lockdown, whether it is India, whether it is US, whether it is everywhere. The lockdown uniformly being implemented, and it is not a particular sector. Every sector, you call it any sector, whether it is manufacturing, whether it is travel, whether it is healthcare, whether it is a trading organization, every sector is affected uniformly across the globe, and most of the industries, most of the organizations, most of the units or corporates are closed down their activity. And this has never happened in the history of this world. And ultimately, because of this lockdown and the closure of all these various units, the thing is, millions of people, why millions? It is billions of people have lost their job and fighting for survival. And even in the developed countries, it is like that. The case is like that. Why to talk about a country like India? Okay, so people are fighting for survival. And the picture I have mentioned here, it is all the nations have going down like a pack of cards. The COVID has hit the global economy in a very deep way. Every country is coming down like a pack of cards. Now I am coming to specific aspects about banking. Banking witnessed again a huge dent in various aspects of the activities it is carrying out. One, the banks have lost lot of business because the bank's activities can be broadly classified into 4 segments. One is deposit part, second is credit part or advances part, then payment and service part, then other services like mutual fund, like insurance, all these things. Everywhere, whether it is deposit, whether it is loan, everywhere the banks are lost the business because no takers. In short, no takers. People are drawing the money for their daily routine, and there is no taker for the credit because everybody has closed down their businesses. And naturally, when my business has come down, my profit ultimately will be ending up. Let us not talk about the profit. All the banks are going to incur the very grim situation is there. They are going to incur loss, or they are going to show very meager profit, if at all they are going to show. And very, very important point, the third point, what I am trying to tell you is deteriorating asset quality. The NPA is going to, already it is bad in the Indian banking sector, and today, world over, the asset quality, the loans given by the banks are going to turn into NPA. All of you know about NPA. NPA means there are so many, what do you call, impact on that in banking sector. So the asset quality is going to take a heavy, what do you call, beat, right? It is going to become an NPA. So these are the major areas where the banks have got affected. Now, because of the stipulation or guidelines by the government or various authorities, the bank branches have to be closed, because almost every organization 100% closed. But here, the organizations are asking, the government authorities are asking selectively, at least in wherever the more footfall is there, you close down. That is one part. Many bank branches are closed. Second, the branches, even if it are open, they are operating on a very skeletal staff. 1/3 or 1/2 of the staff members. Others, they will not, they need not, they will not, all these things. So they will not be there in the branches. So the branches either are closed or operating on a very major scale. More than that, it is not only the government directive, it is not only the directive of the other authorities. The customers themselves today are feeling reluctant, right? Because all of us know social distancing, don't come here, don't assemble, all these factors has put a very deep impact on the minds of the customers. They are not willing to come for the branches to do the banking business. Okay, but the other part of it, the other angle to the activity is banking branches may be closed. The branches may be working on a very skeleton staff, but you cannot dispense with banking, because without banking there cannot be any activity. This is the hard reality. Everybody in the entire globe is facing this. No banking, no activity. Manufacturing industry can be closed, automobile industry can be closed, trading organization can be closed, but not banking. Okay, so that is the importance. So what is happening? On one side, a lot of impact on the branches, on the bank as a whole, on the business, everything is there. But ultimately, I had to do the business. I have to. There is no other alternative. So what happened in the banking? New frontiers have developed. No other sector. Other sectors are still waiting. They will come back. Probably they will adopt the same technology. They will adopt the same methodology. But banking, because of the compulsions created by this COVID, they adopted new frontiers of working, the new frontiers of business, new frontiers, the way the customers are, what do you call, given the service. Everything is changing. And this is one of the major sectors which has shown a very fast development, very fast change. And ultimately, because my income is coming down, my profit is coming down, but my business is coming down, all the banks are forced to look out for different streams of income. This is what is happening in the banking sector because of the COVID. Now, the new frontiers that has come into the banking, as I already told you, the banking transaction cannot be stopped. Like as you know, it is the most indispensable activity in the entire world. No money, as long as human beings require money, there'll be a bank, there'll be banking. This is what I used to tell my students also. So this is one of the evergreen industry you are going to answer. You are going to know. It will be there. Evergreen industry, because as long as the human beings require money, this activity, banking activity, will be there. So banking is indispensable, like your food, shelter, clothing. It is becoming a indispensable activity, right? So the transactions are not and cannot be disrupted. This is a very solid logic you should understand. Nobody can stop the activity in banking, whereas it can be stopped in any other activity, any other industry. Okay, but when the activities have to be carried out, when the banking transactions have to be done, we have to look out for different ways. That is what happened. Today, the way it happens is disrupted. That is what the things are happening in the banking industry. Yes, banking is going on. Banking transactions are going on. But the way it is carried out, there is a vast difference between, it can be broadly classified into two segments. Pre-COVID, post-COVID. Okay? Pre-COVID, mostly it is branch, touch point. Touch point is the branch, and the services used to be delivered by face-to-face interaction. Okay? But now, this method of transacting is totally disrupted. Okay? Now, what is the change is happening? It is exponential use of technology, or it is called digital disruption. Of course, the banks started adopting technology right from the entry of new development banks like, new generation banks like ICICI, HDFC, Axis, all these banks. They came with the bank of technology in the industry. They introduced ATM, they introduced online banking, they introduced mobile banking, and they started adopting technology for the business purpose, for the customer convenience. But today, this technology, it is exponential use. There is a difference between a normal use and exponential use, because today I had to. There is no other alternative for me. So everything is turning into digital mode. Everything. Probably all of you are getting so many messages when you open the bank site through your mobile. Every day you are bombarded with various messages from the banks stating that this you do, this you do, this you do, everything on digital platform. This is what is happening in the banking industry. And one more important thing which has happened in the banking industry today is, which is never heard of, work from home culture, WFH, which is very common in IT industry so far. IT industry is very common, but banks, so far they were under the pressure. No, it has to happen through branches. The staff members have to come to the branches. They cannot work from home. There are so many reasons for that. I'll tell you about it. Okay, but today, because of the compulsion, like as you know, branches are closed. People are not asked to come to the branches. And that circumstances, naturally, I will allow my staff members to work from home, which is a totally different culture in the banking, which is never seen earlier. This is a change which is happening again. Almost all the banks, irrespective of whether public sector, private sector, old private sector, new private sector, this is happening. Okay, and then ability to work on virtual platform. All of us, and like Madam Sangeeta told about me, after retiring from Bank of Baroda as a DGM, I started working for NIT as a faculty. Previously, I used to conduct the training programs at the classrooms. Even the conclave, what they are planning, what they are doing now, probably they would have done at their institute. But today, because of technology, virtual platforms are gaining momentum. And everything is happening through virtual platform. Now, I am conducting a lot of programs, not only for what you call my own institute, I am conducting for other banks also through virtual platform. And so many banks I have conducted. So they find it most difficult because the staff members need not travel, need not wait, right? Their time is saved, cost is saved. So many advantages are there. So the virtual platform is the order of the day. Whether you connect with the internal customer, that is staff member, your superiors, your peers, your subordinates, or you connect with the external customers, that is your business customers, everything is happening on virtual platform today. This is the change which has happened in the, again, banking arena or new frontier. Third, your ability. So far, again, as I told you, customers, some of the customers are comfortable about digital platform. Okay, mostly this educated young population are quite comfortable with the digital platform. But still, there are so many people in the rural, semi-urban areas, and some people from urban area and metro also, like senior citizen, they are not comfortable with the digital platforms. So what is happening today? Irrespective of the age, irrespective of their social status, irrespective of the earning capacity, everybody, every customer is diverted into the digital platform, diverted into the digital platform. And they are not comfortable. As I told you, people who are from rural, people who are from semi-urban, they are not comfortable. They don't know. So the job, how it has changed, how the landscape has changed in banking, not only diverting them, you have to handle them. You have to handle them till they are comfortable. You have to handle them. This is the change which is happening, and most of them are becoming comfortable. Most of them are becoming comfortable. And the next point here I mentioned is data security and protection. I'm sorry, the word is data security and protection. So when people are allowed to work at home, when customers are allowed to do through digital platform, naturally the bank has to share the data, the very sensitive information about the customers, very important personal information about the customers have to be shared with these people who are working at home. That is why I told it was not the culture in banking industry to ask the people to work at home, but today it is happening. Naturally, when I have to share my data, when I have to share my platform with the staff members, I have to be very, very careful, because banks are governed by law of secrecy. The information about the customer cannot be revealed to anybody else. That is why it is very, very tightly protected. Data is very tightly protected. But now, when I am allowing this staff members to work at home and allowing the customers also, the data security has to be taken care. The protection and security should be taken care. That is again is very emerging as one of the very important parameter. Now, regulator. Regulator is RBI. So far, RBI is having guidelines, rules, regulations, all these things, because even regulator is not expected this sort of a pandemic. So there are certain rules, regulations prescribed. But today, because the things are changing in the banking industry, because it is totally overall, right? The way it is happening is overall. Naturally, they themselves have to change the rules, regulations, guidelines. Okay, so they are doing many things like KYC, e-KYC through Aadhaar card. All these things are happening, and the customers are comfortable in doing through e-platforms or digital platforms. Yes, the regulator himself is aware about what is happening in the banking industry, so they are trying to give a support to the banks by changing certain rules and regulations. And naturally, when digital platform, this is one of the major caution or major deficiency is frauds are likely to happen. So many frauds we are seeing, phishing, wishing, right? And so many things are happening. So that is going to be rampant nowadays. That is why many websites are screaming. Whenever you open, there is likely to be attack on your what you call, by way of a phishing, by way of a wishing, all these things. So be careful. Don't share your information to these fraudsters. So this is one more area which is causing concern for the banking sector today. Lot of frauds because of the digital transformation. Lot of frauds are likely to happen, and it is they are being protected. I mean, the procedures are protecting these customers. The last word, upskilling and cross-skilling. There is this word is, I have borrowed it from a sales technology. In sales, we used to have this two words: upsells and cross-selling. Upselling and cross-selling. Cross-selling means selling one more product. Upselling means selling higher value product. But I want to use it in the present context in the banking, because what the present context requires is I have to increase my skill, what I am having already, right? I have to add one more skill because it is changing. unless I add new skills, unless I equip with the what do you call new way of doing things, I'll become obsolete. I'll be thrown away from the banking system. So naturally, I have to do the cross skilling, adding more skills to your existing skill set. Second, upskilling. I am already having. I am very good in what you call back office functions. I am very good in marketing. I am very good in customer service. So here, upskilling means you are having customer service skills, you are having back office skills, but that has to be upgraded. Upskilling means upgrading, right? Upgrading to work on the digital platform. Same thing you'll be doing, but you will be adding your skill on a different platform, or it is a better way of doing things. So this is a very important word for all of you who want to join the banking industry also. These are the two things you should keep in mind. If you want to enter into banking industry, after entering into banking industry, if you want to succeed in the banking career, these two things are must, I can tell you, must. Try to add more skills to your existing arsenal. Whatever weapons I am having, add some more thing. Upskilling. Whatever skill I am already having, try to upgrade the skill. Try to improve upon the skill. Okay, right. So these are the changes which are happening in the digital area or new frontiers in banking. Now, something about digital. Of course, all of you may be knowing by the way I explained to you earlier. Indian banking sector is a digital wave, and the photo I have put here is it's called surf. What do you call sea surfing? And in foreign countries, very popular. By utilizing a smart board, these people will be able to come out of the waves very successfully. So this is the same thing which is going to happen in the Indian banking industry. The digital wave is all pervasive. Anybody using it effectively will come out successful. All the banking industries. Okay. So digital banking today is all pervasive and inevitable. Described already. It engulfs all activities. Like I said, no, the total change in the way the banks are functioning. It is happening. Total change. Product development, customer interaction, back office function, CRM, customer relationship management, okay, marketing, and everywhere, whatever has been done face to face, whatever has been done through intervention of what you call personal interaction is happening through digital platform. And you might have seen in the papers, loans are being offered through digital platform, payments are made through digital platform, accounts are opened through digital platform. Nothing, you need not come to the branch at all. Okay, that's a change is happening. It's a tool for survival and also success. Nothing to say, self-explanatory. If you have to succeed in the present circumstance after the COVID especially, you have to become digital. Okay, many banks are successful riding the digital wave and emerge as winner. Okay, these are some of the maybe the IT students or even others may be able to understand this. Very, very, very popular terms in common terminology also. Latest digital technology platform used by Indian artificial intelligence. This is going to be the order of the day. When I say you try to add cross skill, add some skill set apart from your college studies, apart from your college degree. When I ask you to add some skill set, these are the areas for you. These are the areas. So many institutions are giving some diploma or some certification courses on this artificial intelligence, AI, popularly called AI. It is going to be the order of the day. It is going to take over the entire world, entire what do you call all the sectors for that matter, banking in particular. Artificial intelligence. It is the machine capable of thinking like human being and doing things. Okay, I need not explain. There are so many movies also you have seen. Then robotic process automation, RPA. It is called RPA. All the back office functions are today, most of the back office functions are done through machines only. What has been done, I mean, what was what was done through staff members, okay, is taken over by machines. Example, on the photo also I have seen, it is robotic by ICICI Bank, and software robots at ICICI Bank, and humanoid robot. Humanoid means it will look like a human, right? It's called Lakshmi. Lakshmi, a robot was introduced by City Union Bank, Lakshmi, and it can give you all the information you want. Normally, what you do, you go to a bank staff, ask, what are the balance? What happened to my check? What is the interest rate for housing loan? What is the interest rate for FDR? What is the period I can put? What are the procedure for opening SD account? All these queries take, they say, 60% of the work of any staff member. Understanding this requirement, the City Union Bank introduced a humanoid robot which will answer all your queries. Just you have to ask it, what is my balance? It will immediately tell you. What is the procedure for opening account? It will tell you. So they say one Lakshmi robot will substitute almost 4 staff members. This is what is happening, the change in the banking system. And so many banks have introduced. That's a bank. But after that, so many banks, including HDFC, all these banks have introduced. Next one, API, application programming interface. It is open banking. Open banking means, I was telling about data secrecy. Customer information is very, very, very secret. But now I am allowing open banking means the accounts can be opened through some other platform, like outsourcing, like other fintech. I'll tell you about fintech companies. So like that. So the data is shared. It is open banking. Okay. Then chatbots, virtual assistant for customer interaction. Like as you know, probably all of you will be knowing about it. When you enter into any banking site or any other site for the matter, immediately on the right hand side, there'll be a what do you call, again, it is featured through AI, artificial intelligence only. Immediately there'll be a person saying that anything you want, I will help you. Okay. It is programmed. The machine is programmed. This will be the question. We'll be able to answer that. So no need for a staff member to answer the queries. The customer is guided towards his interaction, need or whatever interaction you want to have through this chatbots or virtual assistants. This again, one more things happening in the banking industry. Latest digital technology platform used, BOP. There's one more thing. Partnering with fintech companies. Fintech means financial technology companies. What was done, done by the banks earlier, like payments. If I make some purchases, my customer used to make payment through my debit card, my credit card. But today, how they are paying? They are paying through Paytm. They are paying through Google Pay. They are paying through PhonePe. So who is that? Paytm. Who is that? PhonePe. They are not banks. Okay. So similarly, so many other activities. Selling the mutual fund, selling the loan products, everything is happening through fintech companies today. Fintech companies means financial technology companies. Originally, they were competitors to the banking or banks. Today, understanding the extensive reach of these fintech companies, the banks today are not seeing them as a competitor, but they are seeing as a complementer. So they are partnering with fintech companies. The banks are partnering with fintech companies. They are not competing with fintech companies. So Paytm is allowed to partner with me. Google Pay is allowed to partner with me. UPI is allowed to partner with me, right? So many things. So digital wallets, I told you just now about it, and data analytics and customer profiling for product development. This is again one more area where you can add your qualification. Big data analysis is called big data analysis. That is one of the very, very important area where the banks are focusing today. Big data analysis, because they are having huge data. How to utilize for the benefit of the banks? business, BAU, it is called business intelligence units. Okay, so that there also you can try to have some certification, try to have some what do you call course or something like that. Then automated account opening and pre-sanctioned credit limit. Like I said, today you need not come. You need not come to the branch at all. You can open the account through your mobile. You can open account through your ATM. You can open account through some what do you call, it is called e-lobby, where all the machines are there. You can open account. So coming to the branches and interacting with people is totally dispensed. This is the major changes is happening in the banking industry today, right? Enhancing capabilities of ADCs. ADCs means alternate delivery channel. So as I told you previously, the banks are using alternate delivery channel like mobile, like internet banking. But today, these capabilities are enhanced. The capabilities of this mobile banking or internet banking are enhanced. So almost everything you can do through mobile banking and other ADCs. Okay, right. Now coming to last but one part of it, the pandemic for other sectors like travel industry, like tourism industry, like manufacturing industry, like trading industry, it is going to give a bloom. They do not know when the pandemic is over how it will happen, what will happen. They have to reboot the machinery, overhaul the machineries, and all the stocks would have become stale. All these things are there, but banks are having very great opportunities. Very great opportunity the banks are having, because once the pandemic is over, that's a $1 million question. When it will be over is a $1 million question. But once the pandemic is over, every country, every sector, manufacturing, travel, tourism, automobile, telecom, every sector will try to spring up again. They will come back, right? So here, this is a golden opportunity for banking sector. When everybody, government wants to spend money for welfare schemes, every sector would like to have money for starting the business. So it's a golden opportunity available for the banking sector. When lot of demand is going to be there on the banking sector, nothing can prevent. No other sector in the world is going to have so much business potential than the banking sector. So pandemic seen an opportunity rather than a threat, especially for banking. That's what I am trying to, right? Opportunities will galore at the end of the tunnel. End of the tunnel means once the COVID is over, it is going to be huge opportunities. Naturally, when huge opportunities come, what will come? The number of job opportunities is going to multiply like anything. Why I am interested in all of you? All of you will be having a great opportunity in the banking sector, because banks will be needing lot of people for doing various new areas of banking, various new activities in banking, and all of you will have a very great opportunity. Be ready to grab that. That's the only thing I want to say. Be ready to grab the opportunity. For that, what you have to do? Just upskill, just cross skill. Nothing more. Just add some qualification. Always I used to tell my student, if you want to succeed in life, be different. Different in what way? Different in my qualification. I am more qualified than others. Different in my performance. I got more mark than others, right? So when all these things are there, nobody can stop. Nobody can stop in this world from succeeding in your life. So this is going to be the order of the day. Okay, right? So changes in banking sector are going to stay. No, for others, for the manufacturing industry, for other industry, they will come back to the original position. What they were doing earlier, they will do it. But here, banking has already undergone some changes, witnessed a new frontier. These are going to stay. The new way of doing things are going to stay. That is the reason why all of you should remember that. Okay, right. And lot of job opportunities, as I told you, be ready to grab the opportunity. Lot of potential for getting the job. Every government and sector will strive. Already I told you, and it's a great opportunity which is going to face all of you. And ultimately, this is what the skill sets you require. Because it is time, I want to conclude my speech. Digital mindset. So entire thing, be prepared to become digital. Okay, be prepared to become digital. Just 2 minutes, Sangeeta. Ability to work on virtual platform, already we have discussed. Your ability to work on virtual platform should be there. Networking and cloud computing technologies, this you can add as a cross skilling. Networking and computing technologies. Data protection and security, I have discussed enough about it. Marketing, both online offline, your ability to connect with the customers on virtual platform and get the business for the bank. And risk management, that's a very big subject. As of now, understand all the banks are into risk taking business. Monitoring a recovery, because I told you NPAs are going to escalate, elevated level. So there are great opportunities for recovering the money from the customers, and there are great opportunities. And freelancing and outsourcing, this is one thing you should understand. Today, the banks, they will not get adequate people. So they will say, I'll outsource. You come to me, you do the work, you get the money. It is called freelancing and outsourcing. Again, I told you there are lot of opportunities, right? And leadership skill, communication skill, and team player, nothing to say. All of you are aware about it. And I think with this, I like to conclude my what are the opportunities available to you and how the new frontiers have evolved in the banking sector. And thank you very much. And the questions, now we can take the questions.
Thank you, Mr. Devasilan. I think we would keep a consolidated Q&A session towards the end after, yeah, with both the speakers. Right?
Okay.
Yeah. So again, thanks a ton for Mr. Devasilan ji for those insightful words. I want to tell the audience that Mr. Devasilan has joined us from Chennai. So it is thanks to the digital platform, webinar platform, that we are all able to connect from far and wide, from various parts of the country. So like Mr. Devasilan said, you know, we need to emphasize the digital mindset and all the various inputs that he has given. I'm sure we will put them in practice, and we would benefit highly from those. With that, now we come to the second part of today's session. We are pleased to have with us Mr. Amit Doshi ji, who is the second speaker for the day. Mr. Doshi is Deputy Vice President and Business Head, Mumbai Retail, HDFC AMC Limited. And I take this opportunity to introduce Mr. Amit to the audience. Mr. Amit holds 21 years of diverse experience in financial service industry. He is a postgraduate in finance and holds various financial certifications. He has worked in various capacities for business development, channel management, geographical expansion of the business, as well as distribution of mutual fund products in India. Mr. Amit Doshi takes active interest in use of artificial intelligence and data analytics in various BFSI segments. So now Mr. Doshi is going to throw light again on the theme of this webinar, which is BFSI. Thank you. Mr. Doshi, please.
Mr. Alok Shivapurkar, who is Executive Vice President and Head for HDFC AMC, to introduce me to FMA and SDIT, Mr. Tyagarajan, Bangita Trehan, Abhay Kapoor, Senior Faculties, team members, and all the coordinators. Thank you so much for inviting me and the wonderful audience. So I'm a man of a sales, so I'll start with the presentation with some numbers, and please bear with me in terms of the numbers. Is my screen clear?
Yeah, yes, it is.
Yeah, okay. So let's look at the overall Indian economy at one stage where, before looking at to what has happened and what is going to happen. If I look at my Indian economy, our GDP is, around 27,274 billion. Our savings is 21%. So out of 100 rupee of the economy, we as a saver, where we are as an Indian, we are saving 21 rupee. This is what the basic interpretation of this slide. Out of this 21%, 50% goes into the financial savings. And as we are talking about the financial services like banks, mutual funds, insurance, and the other products. So we net, we are savers compared to all the other developed economies like US, UK, or maybe Europe or any of the developed countries. And most important part is out of our financial savings, 50% goes into the banking system. That's bank deposits. So this is very, very important part in Indian economy. The crux of this are net savers. And that may be one of the reasons that, we are still surviving in a better manner compared to the other countries in this pandemic. Now let's look at some more data in terms of the statistics. Out of our total population of 1320 million, so it's around 132 crores. Almost because of the Jan Jan Yojana of our government, we have almost covered 75 to 80% of the people under our banking system. Out of this, we have 440 million people are having PAN cards and 59 million have been filing tax returns. And if you look at the stock market transactions, there are almost 40 million demat accounts, and we have almost 21 to 22 million mutual fund folios. Now, if you compare this data with any of the developed country, like let's say we'll keep a benchmark like US, the entire system is different, where people have more money in mutual funds, equity, life insurance, and the least in the banking system. But if you look at over here, it's the other way around. So the point is there's a huge, huge opportunity, despite of what we say that crisis or the emergencies in India, there's a huge opportunity for financial professionals, financial entrepreneurs, banking systems or BFSIs to grow, prosper in India in terms of the business, in terms of the client, in terms of the technology or whatsoever dimension that we want to take. Coming back to the BFSI, BFSI is a very, very vast sector. So banking, non-banking financial companies. Now, banking, you have a private retail bank, you have a regional rural bank, you have a payment bank, you have a government bank, that is public sector bank, you have wealth management banking. Then you go to the non-banking financial services. They are again a retail non-banking financial services. There are infrastructure non-banking financial services. There are banking financial services in commercial lease and vehicles. If you go to the equity research and broking, there are wealth management outfits, investment management outfits. If you go to the mutual funds and asset management, there are various products available, and under that product, each company operates in a different scale. If you go to the life insurance companies, apart from life insurance company, there are more than 30 private life insurance companies operating in India. Similar way in terms of general insurance, the portfolio management services, and if you go to the risk management, depositories, exchanges, debt syndications. So the BFSI sector, you can say, is a core of any economy. And in India, as we are growing and progressing towards 5 trillion economy, this will be a core sector going forward for next 5-10 years, despite of all odds. Huge opportunity. So I'm going to talk about the 360-degree dimension of BFSI. What has happened, everybody knows that, COVID has came, COVID is there, and it is a part of our daily life. There's a new normal. You are talking about technology. You're talking about slowdown. You're talking about many hardships to the people at the ground level, to the entrepreneurs, to the managers, to the professionals. But is it the case that which has not happened in the past, or is it the first time that you are facing such kind of crisis? So let's look at the dimension of impact of COVID on BFSI. So I have divided, the entire part into 4 different major components. First is the industry as a whole, BFSI. Then the businesses, those who are operating into respective segments, whether it is a bank, whether it is a mutual funds or a life insurance or a general insurance. Then comes the employee, and last one is customer. So if you look at carefully, this 4 dimensions are directly impacting each of our daily lives. I'm an employee of a BFSI. I'm also a customer of a bank. I'm operating into a business which is into BFSI, and I'm also part of the industry. So as an Amit Doshi, these 4 dimensions are important to me. As a audience, if you look at your perspective, you are also a customer of a bank. You must have invested somewhere. You may be involved as an employee, or you may be doing a research. You are part of this industry at some point in time, or maybe you are indirectly connected to the business. Now let's look at what has happened. So everybody knows that, in a short term, every industry which is going through any of this kind of pandemic or crisis, they'll have a short-term negative impact. Now this pandemic is worldwide. So whether it is in India or US, the industries are affected, economies are affected, but still our economy is better because we have a positive trajectory. We are growing in a positive trajectory compared to all other economies. So yes, there is a negative pain in short term, but if you look at next 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, there is a huge opportunity, and maybe this has given a huge opportunity to this BFSI sector. So that's the main positive point which we'll discuss. Then there'll be a product innovation because of this pandemic. If you look at the businesses, there are 2 types of businesses. One is something where, it's keep on going on irrespective of the business cycles or the economic cycles. In every industry, whether it is a paint industry, you will see the Asian Paints. If you look at the banks, it is the HDFC Bank. If you look at the financials, mutual funds or life insurance or any of the car manufacturing companies, there are leaders. And due to such kind of crisis, these leaders become more stronger. They'll improve their margins. They'll become more profitable. They'll generate more opportunities. They'll more innovate. So in BFSI, these leaders will get more power, and they'll have more power in terms of the technology to drive their business. And our previous respective speaker has rightly said that, in this BFSI sector, across the businesses, across the segments, you will have a technology which is going to play an important role. So this businesses, to scale up their businesses in terms of the skilling, the technology will be key to drive this profitability, the margins, to training, to employment, anything. The third part is employee. Now this is something where, the revolution will come. The routine conventional skills will not work for a longer period. And we used to think that, the person who is specifically, let's say a person working in a banking industry having 10 to 12 years or 20 years of experience will grow faster than the person who is having 2-3 years of experience in banking. But I personally feel that, and there are reports that, the person who is ready to adapt the changes, ready to adapt the new technology, continuously upgrading his or her skills on our frontiers, will grow more faster than the person having 10, 20, 30 years of experience. So the major challenge will lie at the HR level and maybe employee level, where how to have a better skills, how to have a better opportunity for the employees. And last but not the least, as a customer, I think we will be more prudent towards our financial planning, because we get to know that if you have to stuck yourself where businesses are closed, you can't get a cash on hand, your salaries are cut. Have you planned such kind of things in your life in last 10 years or 20 years? Did you ever thought that this will happen? People will start looking at the financial planning in terms of the contingency planning, in terms of cash on hand, in terms of asset allocation, in terms of investments, and lot many things. As a customer, we'll have better choices. Because today, if you look at I want to open a bank account, I need not to travel to any of the branches, whether it is an HDFC Bank or a Kotak Bank. I can open an account sitting in my home very easily. If I want to invest in a mutual fund, I want to apply for a credit card or any of the financial product, I have my own convenience because the businesses are giving that opportunity to me through that technological advancement. And third word, important part for the customers is now customers will be in the digital world only. I may not be comfortable with one of the banking branches in Mumbai. I may shift my account to Delhi or Ahmedabad. I may have a virtual RM and I'll be transacting through that particular platform. I may never walk into any of the financial branches of the bank or a mutual fund to get into my account statements or my resolutions, product or queries getting solved by the respective RMs or BMs. So going forward, everything will be driven by the technology. And those who will be survive and adapt will strive through this opportunity. So let's look at simple part. You know, what has happened into a BFSI or into industry? Let's look at the banks. And sir has rightly pointed out that, you know, business was closed. Government has given a moratorium on certain loans. And on top of it, there are products which is not available in the market for the clients, and clients are also under pressure because of this business activities, salary cuts, downsizing. So there is an impact on profit margins for this BFSI, and I think it is everywhere. It's not affecting only BFSI, it is every industry, whether it is an SME, MSME, or any of the paints or car manufacturer or automobile. So whenever this kind of things happen, there will be always a profit margin pressure for all the intermediaries. They are into a plan of effective utilization of the resources. You will never heard that, you know, HDFC Bank has downsized their workforces. But what they are doing is they are focusing on the productivity of the employee. They are more concerned toward that how to utilize the skills available to the respective employees to the best of the knowledge of the management, with the help of the HR, with the help of the skills available to the training department, the seniors. They wanted to upgrade the skills of the employees so that the productivity will be back to the normal, irrespective of the work culture available at the branch or working from a home. There will be many product innovations from the industry. Let me give you a simple example. Like, you know, till date, we haven't seen any of the general insurance or Mediclaim product related to product which is available for just a month. But suppose some general insurance company comes out with a product that, you know, I'm going to give you a cover for COVID related illness and hospitalization for just 1 month or 15 days or 20 days from today till 30th November or 31st December. You look at, this is a simple idea which is available with me, and maybe I can share, and you know, there are so many such ideas available with the market veterans. Look at the product innovation. 10 to 50% of the people will immediately buy. So this is a product innovation, and maybe available through a mobile app where, you know, I'll pay some amount of premium and my cover will get started. This is what is happening into banking industry. This is what is happening into financials industries like NBFCs or maybe mutual funds or a general insurance or a life insurance. So these products are available, and that's innovation is on continuous basis. And very, very important that this industry is going to expand exponentially, because from 2.7 billion, so to trillion, we are moving towards 5 trillion. Whether it will happen in 2022 or 2025, but it's going to happen. And this BFSI will be the key driver for this kind of growth. Let's look at impact on the businesses. As I told that, you know, this businesses, the quality businesses, they'll become more stronger. Use of technology in the product offerings that we have discussed, use of technology in servicing. So now I'm interested more in terms of servicing as a client, because I do not want more of the complex products, or I don't want any other further product. I'm happy with my financial planning. So banks either can sell me product, or banks can give me a solution through technology. Banks can innovate, NBFCs can innovate. If I can share one of the simple example, Bajaj Finance. If you look at the growth of this company in last 10, 15 years, they were using complete data analytics to understand the profile of a client, where they are just going to give a loan of 25,000 to 40,000 or 50,000 to purchase a consumer durable. None of the organization in the world, including CIBIL in India, has the data which Bajaj Finance today have of mine and yours in that data bank. If you have taken any of the loan through credit cards, or if you have used your credit cards, if you have used your debit cards, or if you have taken any EMIs for your home loan, this data available with the financial companies, and they are utilizing it is in the best possible manner. And hence they are doing some innovation to manage the risk, to provide the services, and to provide the products to the target segments. So this fintech will evolve with all the products and all the services. Now, today fintech is available as a one-time solution or one kind of solution for a particular organization. Now you can imagine that you want to do an FD with an insurance cover, and you want to do a mutual fund with some kind of general insurance. Then each organization will going forward will give you so many options under different products sitting at your workplace or at your home to complete your transaction, and you'll get the services on tip of your finger. So fintech is going to drive the businesses very, very aggressively. Now impact on employee, work culture, that is going to change dramatically. The conventional work culture is 9 to 5 or 9 to 6 kind of work culture, 5 days or 6 days a week. Now you have to understand that this is a 24-hour, wherein out of that you have to give a productive 8 hours to your organization as an employee, whether you are in BFSI or any of the technology company. The focus will be on productivity. I cannot be a normal salesman or a sales guy or a sales executive or an accountant where I'll just finish it up my work and I'll complete my task. Organization will demand more and more over a period of time from you to improve the productivity of each and every employee. You have to adapt the changes. Now, if you look at the recent reports, most of the IT companies, in fact, TCS already announced that only 25% of the workforce will be working from their offices and premises. 75% of the employees will be working from the respective places, maybe their home. Look at the change. The use of technology. If you are unable to adapt the technology and the culture which is available to you in your surrounding, in your environment, provided by your employer, maybe if you are an entrepreneur, you have to adopt this, else there'll be a big challenge on you. And you have to acquire new skills. And so as I rightly said that, whether you are into bank or a mutual funds, you have to continuously upgrade yourself in terms of the skills, whether it is related to IT, it is related to the finance or banking or any of the area wherein, you have a specialization. Now you have to look at it into the micro specialization, which is very, very important over a period of next 6 months to 2 years to 3 years to get along with your organization and to grow within the organization. And last is impact on the customer. I told you that, we need to be very, very cautious in our financial planning. Till that people were not that serious because they had invested some amount in FDs, they have some life insurance, they do not have a estate planning or a will, they do not have a tax planning, they do not have an emergency or contingency planning, they didn't have any asset allocation in the investment. So now they'll be more prudent toward financial planning. Simple. As a customer, as a client of a bank, now I will have more choices towards which product is suitable to me, which are the services that I should avail and how much I should pay for each and every services. So overall impact of this kind of pandemic into a BFSI on every segment, more or less being a short period from next 6 months to 12 months or 18 months, it is on the positive trajectory. And customer will be the key for all the BFSI segment companies in terms of their digital strategies. This is very, very important. कोई भी organization होगा वो at the end of a day is going to think that, what will be the final outcome of my strategy on my prospective clients or existing clients or the customer. Today, if I want to get an SIP from the remote of the village, as an HDFC mutual fund, I have that facility without getting to know who is doing what at that particular place. And convenience will replace the loyalties. And this is what has happened. Till date, we were shopping from the DMart, Reliance Retail, or maybe we were going to the super malls to buy simple groceries. But look at what had happened in last 2-3 months. Because of the convenience, because of my safety, because of so many reasons, I started to buy groceries from the nearby shops. And this is going to happen in BFSI. Because customer and client is always at a receiving end, and they have a impactful power to make an impact to the organization to whom they are dealing. So convenience will replace the loyalties. And we say that, technology, so use of data analytics, artificial intelligence, or maybe the technology for each of the product or of the services or of the risk or a compliance and regulations. So it's not going to impact in terms of the job prospects of an individual. But if you are into a conventional job, you have to upgrade yourself because organization is adopting a technology. They are into new frontiers. They wanted to grow. If organization is growing at a 15%, 20% year on year, as an individual, your understanding of business as an employee of that particular organization, you have to be ahead on that particular curve of that organization. What are the mega trends worldwide, which is going to come into India? And some of that are already started. Open banking architecture. So I'll not divulge much of that, but these are the points where you can get in some research, some reports from the global players and global consultants. Artificial intelligence and analytics, which has already been used. I'll share, I'll not name a bank, but you go to an ATM of that particular bank, and basis on your last 5-10 years of profile, your account statement, your salary, your cash flow, that bank is going to give you a personal loan within a fraction of 10 seconds. This facility is available in Indian banking system. So what they had done in your last 5-10 years of data is with them. What are your CIBIL scores? What is your credit card scores? What is your spending habit? What is your social habits? How much you are active in your social media? Everything has been compiled under the analytics, use of artificial intelligence, and they came out with this model. And so many banks are going to utilize such kind of technological advancement to cater my need. The blockchain, again, very, very important, and most of the countries in the world are adapting into this blockchain technology, not only in BFSI, but in every sector of the economy. There will be universal products. We may be having 20-30 products available in India in terms of the finance. There are 70 products which are not there part of our economy, which may be launched by the companies in the BFSI sector going forward in next 2 to 5 years. So as a customer, I'll have more choices, but this entire thing will be driven through technology, and technology will transform the business. Now, this is very interesting. Today, if I look at the understanding of the top CEOs of the bankers in the world, they fear that, Amazon is the big threat rather than the other banks in the same industry, because Amazon has just started giving a credit card. Apple has started giving credit card to their clients. Now, Amazon is not a financial company. Apple is not a financial company. So they can transform the entire business. And this is what has happened. Look at the Paytm. Paytm was a simple payment mechanism, but look at what they have done in last 2-3 years post demonetization. Look at Google. Google is not just an IT company now. So this technology can transform any of the businesses or any of the business processes into a different set of paradigm. And is this crisis are really, this is the first time that, we are seeing this? Answer is no. Look at what has happened worldwide in last 50, 100, 200 years, whether it is the US or France or World War, how Japan has started its journey after post World War of, II. Look at the global financial crisis, which has just happened 12 years back. These are the international crises we have sailed through, whether it is a 3 months or 2 years or 6 months or a year. Let's look at India. The major important part for us is liberalization of Indian economy in 1991. Then the securities came, you have coal came, then you had, weak banking quality, NPAs. So on every crisis, the government has reformed, the regulation has came into the place and they had done the reform. And believe me, this crisis and emergencies will be different every time. You cannot say that, what will be the future crisis in India or globally, maybe after 10 years or 12 years or 5 years down the line. So every crisis will lead to a short-term pain, but will definitely give us an opportunity to improve the system or the economy or the, whatsoever is going to affect in the short term will have a positive impact over a period of 2 years or 5 years. So with that, I'll conclude my presentation with the 2 quotes of the Einstein that, in the midst of every crisis lies the great opportunity. And in whereas we are into BFSI, conclave, compound interest, we need to understand as an investor, as well as those who are taking loan, you have to understand that, what compounding interest can do to you. And last, where, I am a part of the mutual fund and the financial services industry, this is my advice that please understand the importance of the financial planning, the impact of the inflation, which is doing to your investments, your assets, follow an asset allocation model, have a financial advisor so that you can have your financial goals achieved, you can have your financial freedom, you can plan your retirements. So thank you so much. Thank you so much all for your patience listening. Over to you.
Thank you, Amitji, for that very insightful session. And I must say that we would, all try to turn this crisis into an opportunity by empowering ourselves as advised by both the honorable speakers. Thank you so much, both of you. Now over to Mohit. Can we take some questions which
Yes,
audience have posted on the chat window, please?
Sure, ma'am. Sure. Just give me a moment. Yeah. So the first question is to Mr. S. Devasilan.
Yeah.
The first question is from Mr. Raju Kumar Chaurasia. He's asking, there are 2 questions from him. The first question is like, how companies are ensuring that internal check system is placed in new culture, work from home?
Yeah. See, that's what I said. This is a security threat is there because in banking so far, this work from home culture is not there. Now, by compulsion, they are allowed to do that. So, information security, information data security, all these things. So, they are identifying certain areas only, like back office, like account opening, like that. One of the few areas only today are allowed to be done at work from home, not all the activities. So, once the data security and protection, all these things are established, they will go for increasing the scope of this work from home. As of now, it is very, very limited areas only is allowed.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, fine, sir. Sir, he's asking for the second question. How can digital trends increase financial literacy in remote areas?
Yeah, I think 2-3 people have asked this question. I told you there are going to be lot of opportunities when the COVID is going to be over, and which are never thought of. New opportunities will be emerging in the banking sector, and that's why I told you be ready to grab that. This is one of the area, financial literacy. I already told you. so many people in the urban and semi-urban, rural and semi-urban areas are not having financial literacy, and our job is to divert them to digital platform and handhold them, give them comfort, give them the trust. So the banking is all about trust. It's a business of trust. So kindly be sure that this is going to be one of the very major opportunities which everybody is going to have, all of you, to convert or to change the mindset of the people into digital one, and financial literacy will be there as part of your job opportunity. Yeah, be ready for that. What I'm trying to be ready for that.
All right, sir. The third question is from Mr. Hanshu Dhaya. He's asking, sir, as you said, the banking is evergreen sector, but we have heard that it is before COVID-19. But also, the witness in past government of India has consolidated mergers 10 PSBs into 4 banks in 2019. So, do you think that it somehow created unemployment in the sector?
Yeah, see, merger, all these things have happened. It is not the new thing. Mergers have happened even 1990s when Global Trust was merged with the Oriental Bank of Commerce. After that, all the state banks have got merged. Now the nationalized banks have got merged from with Bank of Baroda. So many banks, Bank, so many banks, PNB. But this is will not take away your job opportunities. The merger and consolidation are going to give more opportunities, because what the government felt, the size of the business matters. The size of the business matters in competing with the international organizations. So only when you grow in size, you'll be able to compete with the international banks. That is the main reason why this banks were merged. To I can tell you, even the State Bank, we are telling that it is one of the biggest banks in India, but it is nowhere in the global ranking, nowhere. So that means I have to grow in size. That is the reason. And be sure the merger is going to grow your opportunity rather than cut down your opportunity. It is going to happen. But for the time being, the formalities will be there, culture will be there, all these things have to be sorted out. After that, you will have lot of opportunities in even merged banks.
Thank you very much, sir. Now we do have more 2 questions to Mr. Amit Doshi. So the first question is from Somik Biswas. He's asking, can you give some example? What should be the thinking process of AMC employee regarding new skills which can be developed?
Okay. See, in terms of AMC, AMC is a mutual fund. We are into mutual fund. So mutual fund can have a sales or client servicing or an operation. So irrespective of whether you are into a sales or a client servicing or an operation or a FinCon or an HR, you should know the next set of trends. And most important, mutual funds and our industry is well regulated by the SEBI, and there's a body called NISM, National Information System Management. So this NSE and NISM, they are conducting so many competitive exams to upgrade your skills. I'll give you a simple example. The those who are into sales, they can go for NISM 10A, 10B, 5C. Then they can go for the FIMRA or maybe 5C level. Then you can go for research analyst. They can go for the retirement specialization. So there are so many courses and short certifications are available, which you have to continuously do yourself to upgrade your knowledge. So this is something which, we as an organization and the initiative taken by the Alok sir a year back, wherein, in HDFC as an organization, we have made compulsory for all set of on-roll employees to complete at least 3 certification over and above the regulated certification. So the message is very clear that, this is available in the public domain. You have to just surf and search yourself, and which is of the interest to you. You can just give an exam, and these exams are very, very cheap. You have to pay the fees of 1,500 to 2,000 rupees and get the certification. But the amount of knowledge that you can get, which is very, very immense.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. The second question is from Ms. Vatsika. She's a management trainee in HDFC AMC. She's asking, what are the specs required to be imbibed in terms of technology with the limited resources available other than NISM certifications?
Yeah. So apart from NISM certifications, you can think about Six Sigma, you can talk about data analytics, you can think about the operation management, you can think about the CFPs, you can think about the chartered wealth management, you can think about chartered financial analysts. There are certain global certifications available. There are certain domain specific certifications available. There are certain IT and finance fintech level certifications available where you can improve upon basis on your graduation and the post graduations and the domain that you wish to work in future.
All right, thank you, sir. So it's looked like that we have n number of queries. So I'll be taking this as the last question. She is Kanchan Kumar, and she's asking as majority of people are keeping money with itself and don't focusing to invest in investment products. So how can a sales employee be more productive? Please help in it.
I didn't get the first two lines.
Yeah, sure. I'm repeating it again. As majority of people are keeping money with itself and they're not focusing on investment they're not focusing to invest in investment products. So how can a sales employee be more productive?
See, two things. One is basic care of a sales employee is to provide the solution to the target end of the customer. So if I'm a banker, I have 100 clients with me and every client has a different need. But as a banker, I have 60 products available with me. So I need to map the requirement of my client and I have to provide a solution rather than a sales. And there is a very, very vast difference between sales and providing a solution. Majority of the people in sales understand that I am available with 3 products or 5 products or 10 products and my basic KRA is to sell these products to the target segment, which is not in a right direction because you are into financial services. So in financial services, you have to sell the solution. You have to give a solution rather than selling a product. This is the first one. And second is when people are not investing, and if you look at the chart which I have shown, there are less number of people, those who are investing, they are just saving. And there is a misnomer within them that, they are saving and they consider that, they are investing. So you have to educate them. You have to spread the awareness about investments to your target segment of clients or maybe in society within your ambit of reach. And basis on that, you will be able to improve upon your sales thought process.
All right. So there is a question from the faculty. He is Dr. Sajid Khan. He's asking the OCC providing some of them are providing OCC to banks. So how to respond customers affected by COVID-19?
I didn't get that OCC. Like, what is that?
Yeah. I think we should have we should have talked to him directly then. Mr.
Yeah,
Sajid,
please.
if you're there, then you can ask him directly. Sajid sir, are you there? I think there might be some network issue. Okay, all right. Thank you very much, sir. We are really grateful for the time and effort you took to share your thoughts and experiences with us. Thank you very much to both of you. Since we are entering into a new phase, I really believe that your words would definitely benefit to all of us. Thank you, really, thank you very much for your contribution and stimulating speech. All right. So this is the time now. Thank you very much to all of you. Now I would like to invite Mr. Paramjit Singh Ahuja ji. He is an assistant professor and training and placement head from Satyug Darshan Institute of Engineering and Technology to give vote of thanks to our speakers.
Thanks, Mohit. Good evening, everyone. No duty is more urgent and important than that of returning thanks. With this line, it's my privilege to have been asked to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion. I, on behalf of the SDIT family, the entire other supporting industry partners, and of course, especially our co-organizer, Faridabad Management Association, FMA, extend a very hearty vote of thanks to our speakers for the evening, Mr. S. Devasalen and Mr. Amit Doshi, for sharing their precious knowledge with all of us. Last but not the least, I would like to take this opportunity to extend my sincere thanks to each and everyone present today for being with us this evening. It has been an even garnering great pleasure for everyone. Thanks once again. Over to you, Mr. Mohit.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for your kind words. Now, I would like to invite Mr. V. Tyagarajan. He is Executive Director from Faridabad Management Association to give vote of thanks to our speakers.
It's indeed a great opportunity to propose a vote of thanks on behalf of FMA. Mr. Abhay Kapoor, President FMA, also joins me. It was a very marvelous session by Mr. Devasilam. He also shared the key technologies which will bring about a lot of changes in the banking system. Thanks again, Mr. Devasilam, for giving a wonderful presentation. And thanks for an awesome session with a lot of statistics. And it was a highly educated session by Mr. Amit Doshi. You have done a lot of detailing. Thanks a lot, Mr. Amit Doshi. It will be very useful for the participants. And here, both of you have enthused the students that post-COVID, there will be a better scope of employment and large vacancies are going to come. FMA also thanks Mr. S.K. Sachdeva, Chairman, Board of Governors, and also Dr. M.N. Deshpande, Principal SDIT, for partnering with FMA. Thanks dynamic Dr. Sangeeta Trehan and team for an outstanding work done. We would be especially thank Associate Professor Paramjit Singh Ahuja and Mohit Kapil who worked round the clock and made it successful. Thanks to all the industry participants and thanks to all the participants from the corporate world, faculties, and also dearest students. Thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, sir. And now, thank you everyone. Thank you everyone for your participation. I really appreciate your valuable time and attention. Thank you. Thank you once again for joining us. This session. So we are keeping this meeting for open for next 5 minutes to submit the feedback form, attendance form. Thank you. Thank you very much.